Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuned in to Disarranged Talk Show. Joining you live from Be More on the D, your hosts, Matt and Andrew. Please like, subscribe, and comment.
What's up, my friend?
Hey, buddy. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. I have to admit, we already lied to everybody that's watching right now. We are not live from
that's right.
In the D. We are live from the D in North Carolina.
Yes.
In the house. How you doing this week, bud?
I'm doing pretty good, man. It's Friday, which is great. So I'm excited about that. And it's been a really crazy week weather-wise as far as, like, I think yesterday was 59. Today it's 32. Next week we're supposed to hit 60 in February. So
that's unreal. Same in Maryland. I mean, I showed up to North Carolina and today was like mid 70s. So I came in and told my mom to put the AC on and she got mad at me. But thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Welcome to Disarrange Talk Show, your one-of-a-kind show where a healthy network is a strong network. Excuse you, Prince, for sneezing during the end. Tonight, Matt and I have a great show planned for everybody. We're going to be getting into a very popular topic. And if anybody out there that's watching has been on social media in the last, I don't know, minute, you've definitely seen something about toxic masculinity. So we're going to dive into that head first tonight. So we appreciate everybody that's watching, whenever you're watching and however you're watching. So thanks for being with us. And if this is your first time joining us on a Friday night, you'll know that this is one of the better parts of the show coming up right now. This is our good friend Matt and his friend.
And now your news and current events with Matt G.
First, I just want to say thanks for dressing up for the show tonight. I appreciate that.
Yeah, hey bud. Listen, I got a very nice, it's a nice special cotton shirt. You know, it's very smooth and nice on the skin.
There you go. As long as you're comfortable, bud. That's all that matters.
Thank you.
All right, well, let's get right into it. My first story we're going to be talking about is, man, I tell you, this happens a lot. It seems like since we've gone to school, but this 25-year-old teacher, Mrs. Anna Diotori, from Ohio, was just charged with 12 counts of sexual endangerment to a child. So this 25-year-old teacher is accused of sending photos via Snapchat to a 14-year-old. And then once the police talked to the kid, I guess they found out that he actually snuck out 3 times and they had sexual intercourse.
Really? So she's 25 and he's 14.
25 and 14. That's correct. Well,
what was she teaching? What was she a teacher of? Do we know?
It doesn't say. She was teaching at Liberty Junior School in Ohio, Butler County. So go figure. Go figure. It's Ohio, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say our good friend Tyler Hartzell definitely didn't go to that school, but that's incredible. I gotta ask, where were these teachers when I was trying to get A's in school? Sorry, I had to say it, bud. I had to say it.
Honestly, man, I mean, not to get weird about that, but I never had any young teachers or anything like that.
No.
And I don't know, like, what kind of game these 14-year-old kids are spitting to these teachers. But
we also didn't have the internet like the kids have the internet now.
Yeah.
Right? Like literally, it's on their phones, everything.
What do you figure that that 25-year-old woman is looking from this 14-year-old kid.
Like that.
That it's just, like, what are you looking for? I mean, is it like you're trying to have
looking, brother? She got it.
No. What was she looking for before she got it 3 times?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it makes you wonder. That means is there some mental stuff going on or what? I don't know.
I do want to know, everybody that's watching right now, blow up the chats. I want to know if you had any attractive teachers. We want to know about them in the chat room, and if you did, please drop your location of where said school is, and we'd like to just keep in touch. Anyways,
all right, I'll keep stay tuned for that one. I'll keep you posted on that. Let's get into the next one. So this past December, the vaccine mandate for all U.S. military personnel was lifted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a caveat that I did not know about until I came across this story. The caveat is that it was lifted, but it was still up to command or commanders to decide per deployment if they wanted to send a vaccinated military personnel or unvaccinated. So they still could use that discretion when deciding who to send on deployment. So what happened then is a group of Navy SEALs got together. They got and brought this thing all the way up. It's got to the the 5th District Supreme Court in New Orleans.
Really?
Yeah, and it's going through litigation right now. What they're still arguing with through the DOD is they're trying to get the DOD to say that they are not going to influence commanders to deploy unvaccinated or vaccinated personnel one way or another.
That they're not going to discriminate against it?
Right.
Okay.
So,
I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, I don't even understand just for me with work, I'm still having to fill out COVID vendor sheets talking about wearing gloves and masks and doubling up on things. It's like, didn't we already figure out like the glove thing? Like, didn't we already figure out like COVID's not a surface thing, right? Like, wasn't that already a thing?
I thought that was pretty early. I don't know. I've heard so many things about it. That's the thing. Like, and you don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You walk into any hospital or like VA. I was at the VA yesterday. And it's like COVID. They're still living in COVID world like it's 2020.
Yeah, all medical facilities are still high alert for that. So yeah, that surprised me with this is that, and I should have known with the military, they're going to keep some kind of.
Oh, dude, they're going to keep some sort of
there where they could, yeah. So that's why these SEALs got together, because apparently they were getting left out of deployments based on the fact that they were unvaccinated, and they showed proof. They did the 5 steps to show proof due to religious reasons to not get vaccinated. Although I'll tell you this, my opinion with the military side was I never really understood why they fought so hard against the COVID vaccination when you get like 21 other vaccinations.
It's because of the way it was.
I get it.
We never like the flu vaccines. I don't ever remember seeing it be mainstream media where there was a world pandemic, right? And the speed of it. I think everyone just had too much information on how the vaccines were made, how they were skipping protocols because it was considered under an emergency relief and all these things. Everybody's just started questioning it. So I mean, I can see both sides of it.
Yeah. So we'll see where this goes. They don't have any timetable for when the judge is going to make a decision, but it'll be really interesting to see what happens. We'll definitely update as it plays out.
All right. What else you got?
Last thing we're going to get into is the State of the Union was this week. President Biden spoke. If you didn't hear it, I caught something. I caught something from it that has to do with us. He talked about veterans. He talked about the this live safe method with the handguns that we talked about on the one thing. So he's proposing in his new 2024 budget, he wants to help homeless veterans, right?
Okay.
So he wants to put a budget in there. They haven't, they haven't illustrated what that's going to look like. If he's saying he's going to house every homeless veteran or what it is, but he's asking for money for it. And I'm going to read you some statistics, and we'll get into this. Right.
All right.
The number of veterans experiencing homelessness has gone down 11% since 2020. But it's still estimated that 33,000 veterans are homeless.
33,000.
33,000. So this is where I start to get pissed, right? If you know this, you have these numbers.
Mm-hmm.
You know these veterans are displaced, right? Why are we sending billions of fucking dollars to other countries when we have 33,000 of our own men and women who signed and gave their life freely for the same damn country, but we're giving away billions to another one?
So there are a percentage of those individuals, I would imagine, want that lifestyle.
Yeah.
But you really think about 33,000 and the amount of people that are in the United States and the amount of money that's generated, it's literally peanuts.
And I can't even imagine how many of them have called the VA and asked for help, for, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many times you go to your VA appointment and they ask you if you're having trouble with housing?
That's every time.
Every time, right? It's every time. So they know this. So these men and women are on the streets.
Yeah.
And you can't do shit. You can't even just put them in find a couple of abandoned buildings and put some cots down. I mean, I don't get it, man. We have to do better. We have to do better.
If they need abandoned houses, they can come to Baltimore City. We've got plenty free for the picking.
Yeah. And I'm not throwing this on President Biden. This has been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
Right.
This has been going on forever.
I do commend the fact that they're trying to do something with this as far as limit the number of suicides has gone down. Homelessness obviously has gone down since 2020, but it just, in my eyes, it's like, why was there not plans set in place for this? And
it's the same thing with downsizing and not making the VA more structurally sound to be able to handle the influx of veterans getting out. It's the same idea with the lack of preparation getting out of Afghanistan.
And that's exactly where it starts, is the lack of preparation, correct? So they didn't have the mental health access that they should have had, which leads to a lot of this stuff, right? The drug abuse, the alcoholism, their wife leaves them. Right. And all of a sudden they're on the street. A lot of these guys probably were married and either have severe PTSD symptoms or they became an alcoholic and they got put out of their friggin' house.
Yeah. I usually stop and ask. I always ask their names. I'm pretty open and honest with them. I always ask their names. I ask them how long they've been out there, and I ask them what their drug of choice is or whatever their crutch is. And I've never not had anyone not tell me. They kind of look at me weird at first, but they realize I'm not like I'm not a threat. I've got money in my hand. Yeah. I want to know, I want to treat him like a human being. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And it's interesting what you hear from him.
Yeah. I just the first thing I thought with this is just always we got to do better, right? Yeah. You cannot have, and I understand some of them have issues and stuff like that, but we have to have a program in place to grab these veterans and freaking walk them through the process, and get them taken care of. 100%. If they decide to make decisions on their own to leave or go about whatever, that's fine, but you have to at least have that in place.
I agree.
No excuse.
That's
all I got for you, brother.
All right, brother. That was awesome. Thank you very much for getting into that. So before we get into our main topic tonight, I want to take a quick shout out to our sponsors at Neptune's Plumbing and Heating. We will see you right after this quick commercial break. Awesome.
Music's catchy.
Yeah, it's not bad, right? Anyways, so Matt, let's go ahead and get right into tonight's main topic, which we had addressed in the beginning: toxic masculinity. You seem to hear this phrase being used every single day with social media influencers. I know people out there have heard the name Andrew Tate.
Yeah, many times.
And others that have become big focal points out there of people that are talking about this topic. And I'm very ready to get into this, Matt, with you. I think you did a good job picking this topic, brother, and bringing it up and building a kind of a show around to it. So what are your thoughts, man?
Well, I mean, the first thing I thought about, I did research on the topic, right? Because honestly, I had an idea of what I thought it was, and the actual definition of it is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And then it made me think about a show that we did, probably like it had to have been within our first 20 shows, where we talked about the inability to process emotions because of, how we were taught and stuff like that. And it's interesting how that has evolved into this issue we have now. So I know we'll dive into that.
So that episode you're talking about, we hit and talked about it wasn't the word toxic. Shit, I just had a brain fart. It was hyper. It was like a hyper masculinity, right?
Hyper, yep.
So I want to give everybody a bit of a background, and we pulled the definition from the Oxford English Dictionary of toxic masculinity, and it's actually defined as a set of attributes. A set of attitudes and ways of behaving stereotypically associated with or expected of men, regarded as having a negative impact on men and on a society as whole. Which I think we're seeing that now. I think that they're trying to take this phrase and this title and turn it into a negative, which we're gonna talk about. But masculinity refers to the roles and behaviors and attributes seen as appropriate for boys and men in a given society. Now, remember, that's in a given society. Sure. So, in short, masculinity refers to society's expectations of man. This is interesting, right? So. Right. You have these attributes of toxic masculinity representing these qualities. What I want to know is why does it have to carry such a negative meaning or misunderstanding of men, of all men are this way, right? Like that's where I have to kind of draw the line.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to the point now, right, where you can't. I mean, if you see a man behave a certain way, doing whatever, it's considered, oh, he's, you'll hear it from somebody on. And I'm not saying everybody does that, but it's just got so trendy and so popular. And the expectations and how we've evolved in a society has changed. I mean, it's clearly changed in how men were seen 20 years ago to how men are seen now.
So it's safe to say that this term is not being used properly, right? I mean, that's safe to say, right?
I'm sure. Yes. Yeah.
Well, it's just being thrown around, right?
It is. It's a catchy. Another term that's thrown around is a lot. I heard a couple of years ago, like narcissist. Everybody was married or dating a narcissist, right?
Yeah, it's like buzzwords.
Yes, absolutely.
So if we're going to get into the toxic side of it, there's obviously, so it's like anything with politics, with beliefs, with religion, with whatever it is, there's always an extreme side and there's always the other side and there's always that side in the middle, right? So
yeah,
what is I guess what your definition, I'll give my definition first and then I'd like to know what your definition is. So like, what would you consider healthy in terms of masculinity, right? So for me, I think of just having like a healthier balance of compassion and protection. Like we don't all have to be Vikings anymore, right? Like we don't have to be in that sense, but modern man has evolved and adapted. So I think a little bit more compassion along with keeping the protection aspect of it. What about you?
Yeah, like you said, we've evolved so much into like what all right, everybody has a different idea. First of all, I mean, everybody has a different idea of what a man is now,
Yes.
right? I mean, let's be honest. So that changes a lot of things. So I think the men that are like the old type of man that I'm a protector, I'm a provider, all this stuff, they might be seen as that, because it seems a little outdated or out of touch. But I mean, I agree with you as far as the healthy sides of it. I think a man who can be confident, a man who can, carry his own weight as far as
Mhm.
his responsibilities with his family. Um, he's a protector. These are things that I think men naturally have. It's just when it goes past those normal
Right.
things, right? Like,
So we pulled some definition or some traits or attributes, right? So like uh modern day man, or it's always evolving in this blah 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 blah.
cut, cut.
God, I just had a complete brain fart and I just kept rolling with it. But addressing disrespect, right? That's like one big thing that I know that it's taken me a long time to get into. But
Yeah,
so there was that one, addressing disrespect, encouraging men to express emotions, right?
sure. Yeah,
Encourage compassion, which we said compassion already. And I encourage kindness towards themselves and others.
yeah,
It does start with ourselves. We have to show more compassion for ourselves, and then listen to an experience. Listen to uh, your feelings, validate them. Why are you feeling this way? And then check in with yourself and check in with a good pal that can maybe walk you through it, and or a loved one if you have whoever you have.
yeah. So let's rewind, right? Like all
Yeah.
that you said. Let's rewind. How many guys do you know that grew up with someone telling them that was okay?
None of it was.
Right. And God forbid you were in the military, let alone the Marine Corps, because you didn't say shit
Oh no, 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 no.
like about anything because you would be considered mentally weak, physically weak,
Mhm.
unreliable,
Yeah.
all
People
those things.
people question your ability as soon as you start showing
Sure.
that side. And I think what it is, looking back now, hindsight 2020, it makes people uncomfortable. It
Yes,
makes
it
it makes
does.
people uncomfortable.
Absolutely. That's a great point. It absolutely does. Yeah. So I mean, go ahead, Bon.
No, I was just gonna say, how do you think it evolved to this point? Like, how do you think we literally went from it almost seems like since we're talking about it now and we haven't say talked about it in the last say 10 years,
Yeah.
it's like oh we there were the Vikings and now it's this. It's like there was nothing in between and it slowly is taken over. And that can bring in talk about a whole different subject of how I think it's being more of an agenda. So I think when we talk about evolution of how we've gotten to this extreme, I think it's being pushed.
Yeah. I mean, I think. Look, is there a lot of men that fit that bill? That like, hey, get in the kitchen and go make me a sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is assholes out there like that, no
One,
doubt about it.
yep.
You know, but how it evolved is exactly like I said. I mean, I don't know too many guys that were raised to that weren't told, hey, don't let them see you cry.
Yeah.
Take it like a man.
Yeah. I mean, listen.
Shut up and keep working.
So like, listen. Like, I was raised by all women. The only reason I started playing hockey as a kid was because I didn't have a biological father figure at that time, and when my mom was raising me, they were like, He's gonna grow up to be a bitch. He's gonna be a pussy." Like, you know what I'm saying? So like,
Well, so
I think hold on, I think I even got it worse because I was raised by the opposite sex. So when my
yeah,
mom being told all this from every direction that I was gonna grow up to be soft, I think I heard it more with a mother than I would of a father to suck
yeah,
it up and men, other than the crying part, when I got older and things like that, the more of like the compassion side came in. But I think there was times I probably had it a little bit worse.
Yeah, probably because she was so worried that you were going to be raised and unprepared to deal with the things that we believe men are supposed to deal with, right? Like, listen, you are judged on what you drive, how much you make,
what you wear,
what you wear, what you can provide,
what you live in,
what you look like, if you're funny. I mean, these are attributes that if you don't have these things as a man, you're seen less than, right? So this is stuff that's engraved in you. And so emotions and like dealing with stuff like that is not a top priority.
No,
not at all. So, and I think
but in terms of relationships and significant others, what's the top, one of the top 3 things that women want from a man?
Sex.
Other than sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, I know.
No,
I know all the women are like, yeah, right.
Yeah, right. They not the ones I've met. No, they want that compassionate side, right? They want you to have it, but it's like that's a fine line. It's almost like you can't, because then it's like a vulnerability and a weakness to them, and women hop on that.
Yeah, and how many guys do you meet that have the side that they're able, like, when it's time to tear some shit up, they can do it, but when it's time to like sit down and talk about how you feel, they can do that too.
It's fair. It's rare.
It's rare, right?
It's rare.
I mean, I think you're one of them.
I think I'm a little rough around the edges with the communication part of it. I don't think.
Yeah.
I think it takes me a little bit to get into it. I'm not super open to jump into certain things, but I think, I appreciate that. I agree that there's a level of that I can do.
But I think to your point where, what a woman's looking for is of course she wants somebody who can protect and somebody who's, provider and somebody out there. But at the same time, a lot of guys don't fit both bills, right? Because you just learn to shut off your emotions and be a hard ass.
Or be a complete cuck.
Or be a pushover, okay, baby.
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
Not that that's bad to say, okay, baby, because I say that. So
no, but I know, it's the idea that it's happening all the time, and there's no sticking up for yourself, and right. I think it's pretty easy to spot those out. I think weaker men walk different.
They do.
They walk different. Their shoulders.
No eye contact.
Chin down. It's easy. You can spot them in a crowd of easy as can be.
Yes.
So now, Matt, I wanna. This is probably gonna get some people that are watching a little bit riled up. But if we had to look at the opposite spectrum of the male toxic masculinity, do you think that women are being held accountable for their toxic behaviors?
Well, I mean, it does pose a good question, because I think we have got to the point. I think women are held accountable for a lot of things. Let me just say that. I'll just put that out there. But this particularly, I think the spotlight is, front and center on men, right? So one would think that maybe I'm trying to tap dance around this like I'm on a fucking mind.
Take over it. There's no there. I'm going to say negative. I'm going to say 100% no, they're not. And this is what I want to say. You can't turn on the radio. You can't turn on the TV. You can't go on your cell phone without seeing a half-naked woman talking about her WAP. And the only reason I'm saying that like that is because my grandparents are probably watching.
There you go. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
No. It's fine. This is part of what we're dealing with, though.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's just look at the evolution of what we're seeing happen. Women used to get married in fucking turtlenecks and long sleeves. Okay. Now you go and watch the VMAs or something on TV and they barely have nipples covered and they have their asses hanging out. You know, like this, it doesn't make any freaking sense, right? And they're singing about their personal parts and talking about how it's the best. But then in the background, they're screaming that they want respect and they want to be equal. Well, where the fuck is this? Where's the difference? You can't do that. You don't see men walking out there. Oh, come. It's not broadcasted like that the way it is for women. There's another double standard. And it's ridiculous. I mean, I would never want my daughter to listen to half the shit that these influencing women have to do. It's all about tits and ass and sex. Is nothing more. And men are being ridiculed because they like a woman that can cook and can clean or help take care of fucking what we've been out here to do as couples, like to survive. It's just how it's been. Not saying it always has to be that way, but
right.
You have this big, hold on, I'm going on a rant. You got this big movement about women wanting to get back out and you know, equal rights. And listen, I don't care. I love it. But let's look at what's happening. You're completely tearing apart the family. So not only does the man have to go work an 8 to 12 hour day, now the women want to be treated equal. Okay, so let's take the moms away. So now mom and dad are out there for 8 to 12 hours a day. The kids are in school for 6 to 8. I don't know when kids go to school. There's maybe a 3-hour span in a 24-hour time. The families actually get to be a fucking family, sit down and teach family values and things. And so what? So dude, that gets me freaking going. And then you're sitting out here just throwing your freaking vaginas at people for attention, and you want equal rights and equality for women. It doesn't work that way. You can't do that. And then to ridicule men for being masculine and sticking up for ourselves. Sorry, sweetheart. Men haven't been able to fucking stick up for ourselves in a really, really long time. So if you want this evolution to change, you can't take all the good and not get some of the freaking dog.
Well, I think that, just plain devil's advocate, I think that there is a lot of women that would say that they weren't able to speak up for themselves, you know. I mean, and now they are, and now it's a more free. Listen, this goes back to the evolution, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is where we're at in society, and this is why you're getting the words toxic and stuff like that thrown around.
Soft as hell. So everybody is soft.
Well, regardless, it's where we're at, right? And if you want to live in this society, and have, you know, be polite and all that stuff, you have to learn how to evolve with it.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. So
you know, that's
what. So let's give some examples of what toxic feminists.
femininity.
Femininity. Yeah, excuse me. Sorry. So let's bring up.
It's a tough one.
That is a tough one. Femininity, toxic femininity. So we have things like slut shaming, right? You made a good point when we were talking about the show. You were like, it's okay for, say, a guy to go sleep with a bunch of dudes, or well, I guess it is okay nowadays, but it's okay for a guy to go and sleep with a bunch of women and not be called a slut or a whore, right?
Yeah, and I think that's been a stereotype for a long time.
Right. So, but now women doing it to other women and just being, listen, first off, I think women are way nastier to other women than dudes are nastier to dudes, right? Can we agree on that?
Well, 100%. Yeah.
Spiteful. Oof.
Yeah.
So you like things like body shaming. I think they're the most judgmental creatures on earth. Constantly, you know, making fun of other females, to get attention from men. I think they shame other people. Dude,
bless you.
Thank you, brother. They just shame other people for attention. So these toxic people as females are out there too.
Yes, I absolutely agree. But I tell you, you're not helping your dating profile. Listen, what I think is there is a spotlight right now on men, and it's a tough spot to be in the sense that a lot of guys fall into that traditional. I just want to be quiet and work and protect my family. And there's a different society right now, right? So it's hard. It's hard to be yourself without being looked at as toxic in a
Well,
sense.
I think right now I'll most likely be looked at as toxic, but I got to ask, like, everything that I just went on a rant about, I don't think was necessarily not true. So if like you just made a comment like it's not gonna help your dating, dude, good. Like what did I say that wasn't true? If that's the type of person you're getting offended by, that you don't think that men have been fucking.
No, I think you should speak. I think you should speak your mind. I'm not saying what you were saying wasn't true. I'm just,
No,
you know,
I understand. I'm just playing devil's advocate on that too. I'm like, okay, well, what if he is right? Like, what if I'm saying people are going to judge
no, and that's
off what I said, then that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Fuck shit, man, Matt. If they made it to this far in the show,
right.
we're winning, baby.
They might not rewatch. They might not rewatch.
That's fine.
No, I think that I think that we need to get to a place where both men and women can be who they want to be, regardless of the roles.
But it's not a competition.
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be a competition. If we want to go into like, well, I'm not even going to go down that path. But
You
like,
might as well now. You've already.
All right. So there's a reason why women aren't freaking linebackers in the NFL, right? Like there's reasons why in just of human existence that men have always been the protectors. We're built differently. We're wired differently. Not saying that everyone doesn't have a place out here, but we're not equal. It doesn't make one better than the other, but we're not equal. We're not made equally.
Well, I think we're not equal in certain parts.
And women do a lot of things better than men. So I'm not sitting here saying that one's better than the other. There's a lot of things that women do that men just are shit at.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't see men out there, I don't care what you identify as, but you're not shitting out kids. You're not having babies. You're not creating life.
No.
Women do that, right?
Yeah.
That's not the only thing they're good at. They're better at organization, right? Some of them are better leaders. But guess what? They might not be able to pick up that 100-pound round because physically we're built differently. Now there's some hoss women out there that could freaking huck a couple rounds down range, but just saying, generalizing it.
Yeah. And I think that we brought up Andrew Tate, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's perfectly fine to want to be that man who's a protector, want to be who's a provider, right? Mm-hmm. It's when it gets to the other side where you are being demeaning and aggressive with it. I think it's being considered toxic, right?
Absolutely.
Like,
yeah, you're
degrading. No, you're not doing this. I'm the man, or whatever the case is. That something like where you're being aggressive and controlling, or it's even sexual too, right?
Yeah.
Like, get over here. Let me, or let me see this. Just more so looking at women as an object, and I'm the man, and instead of looking at it as an equal.
No, I completely understand. I think he's far on one side. I think he brings up very good points for young men, but I also think that it's the media and his approach to making money. Like he's obviously very good at what he did. Right. Like he took the internet.
Oh, he sold himself. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. I mean,
right. So I think a lot of it is show for entertainment value. But again, I don't agree with everything he says, but there are very good points about men and women and what's going on out here in terms of this experience.
Yeah. I think there's definitely nothing wrong with a young man learning to have pride in himself
and being a man, like
work. Well, now here's the issue though, Andrew, is we live in a society now where that line is blurred. So just saying that I'm that necessarily. There's more definitions of what I'm saying is there's more definitions of being a man now. That's what I'm saying to people, to society. Maybe not to you or to me, but to society, there's more definitions. It might include something else, and that's what we're living in now. And that's where
there has to be that's fine. I'll
yeah,
agree with that. But it's just like this. When I joined the military, they said that you're going to meet. I don't know who told me this. I know my grandfather told me, he's like, you're going to meet all walks of life. So maybe that's what it was. And then my experience was, even though I met all walks of life and literally in the military,
yeah,
if
everywhere.
I sat down with every single person even with all the people that and I'm thinking in my head that I'm completely opposite, like different of, I bet I could sit down and find out one common thing. I could sit down and find one commonality. So I don't care how many freaking definitions there are or of what modern day man is supposed to be like or what the definition of is. There has to be something common in everyone's definition. There has to be.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think more importantly, listen, whether your definition of being a man is being that protector, that provider, you know, the confident guy, all that stuff, and somebody else is different. It's staying in those the important thing is staying in those healthy lines, right? Like my opinion is, yeah, I totally agree with that. You should be a protector. You should be a provider.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the woman you're with or man you're with should feel safe with you emotionally and physically. You know, there's different roles that go with that. That's the way I look at it. And right now, those lines are so blurred because, like you said, what you just said in your previous statement, that can be considered toxic.
Yeah.
Right.
It's almost like we have our back against where do we go from here? Right. Like, so I think if we had to like kind of tie this up in a bow and think of some sort of solution, the only thing that I can think of off the top of my head is this: we need to teach our kids a healthier balance. We need to focus on the younger men that we are raising, and we have to look at who their examples are that are around them, right? Like to make sure that there's some sort of standard for young men coming up to not have that toxic level, but not be the opposite way also, right? There has to be a healthier balance. And I think that we've never as a society ever taught humans how to live. It's always been forced school and things like
Yeah.
when do they teach us health and science? Like they teach us like boys have a penis and girls have a vagina, and they teach us about the birds and the bees. They don't teach us how to live and cope and live the way and how we feel, right?
And I think that's, listen, going back to the whole evolving point, this starts, a lot of this, I believe, in my opinion, starts in your first example of what a man is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're getting that from your father or your brother or the guy on the TV,
Right.
that's who you follow. So if you have a man in your life that's teaching you like, hey, yeah, you don't need to cry about everything, right? And I think it's important to be tough.
Yeah.
But you need to not ignore how you're feeling also.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
And then, but on the other spectrum, you don't need, I'm trying not to put a label on it. You don't need the opposite end where it's just like, you don't have any grit and you just fold, right?
No, and that's what I'm saying. I think it's completely important to get your ass kicked and learn how to get the fuck back up.
Yeah.
And keep pushing in life. Yeah. The Marine Corps was the best decision that I ever made. It saved my life. 100%. I was just a wandering dude, and I had no idea what I was capable of as a man, as a human being. Had no direction.
Yeah.
And the Marine Corps taught me to deal with life, to deal with situations, to learn how to trust myself, to learn how to push myself, to learn what I was capable of. And those are all things that you have to know in dealing with life.
Yeah. And I think, I've even like my little my nephew's right here sitting next to me. Like I've had people that are friends of mine hear me talk to him in a certain way and be like, yo, he's just a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, he absolutely is just a kid. Like, and he's gonna be able to be a kid, but why? I don't think we have to. I think there's a level, like you can start teaching him how to be a young man. You don't have to lie, right? Like you can tell him about the right emotions and the wrong emotions, and if you're feeling a certain way and you feel angry, it's okay,
Sure.
right? Like just because it's not around you, right? But like, so I always get in that conversation with people. I'm like, oh, like I got excited when he got a cell phone because he went away for a couple of weeks up with family. So
Yeah.
it's easy nowadays to get a kid a cell phone so they can FaceTime.
Yeah.
Right? He's like, oh my god, he's not even 10 years old. He's got a phone. I'm like,
Yeah.
what are we hiding from him? Right? Like, what's he gonna do? What's he gonna figure out that he can't figure out on YouTube? Or you're right, like what's the difference? He's got a cell phone so we can talk to him. It's just a
Yeah.
different time, right? It's like, so as much as some people try to like want to evolve into better, they always hold on to other things. It's like, well, if we're going to evolve in one thing, why aren't we evolving in other aspects of communication? Like I didn't need a cell phone at 10 years old. I didn't even have cell phone service. There wasn't cell phones.
Yeah. I think there's lessons to be learned
Mhm.
at no matter what age, but it's important whether what your idea of a man and a woman are. It's important. We all know what's right and wrong and
Yeah.
what's decent and what's not decent, right?
100%.
So learning how to talk to somebody else, how to talk to a woman,
Mhm.
what's appropriate,
Yeah.
and how to talk to other human beings, how to deal with certain situations that might not be easy to deal with, and learn how to tactfully talk to somebody without being aggressive or demeaning or any of that stuff.
Teaching, just taking a few seconds to understand and try to process your emotions first before
Sure.
you react, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's what's wrong with teaching a young boy on how to treat a girl or a woman, right? It doesn't have to
Nothing.
be anything crazy like holding the door, just being respectful. Yes, ma'am. All these little things, manners, like just manners towards a woman,
Yes.
and it's just such a, I don't know. This whole topic, man, it's just like, it's such an extreme.
Well,
it-
and
it's
let me
constantly
talk.
battling extremes.
Let me say this too about the evolution part. I think a lot of the young men coming up now weren't necessarily raised with a father there
Mm,
or a man role there in the trenches with them teaching. A lot of these kids are raised by their fucking tablets and their phones now,
yeah.
and they learn shit on social media and all this stuff. Their parents might be there, but might not be that present role in their life, right?
And then
So
it's the same idea though. Back in the day when the dads would show the tough love and not show their boys any love or any
right,
compassion because they were raised by the World War II generation, right? Like,
yeah,
so it's kind of like that's how it's evolved for the men and guy, like, of responsibility and teaching of lessons, right? It's kind of crazy. I didn't even think about that until now.
yeah, yeah, and it has. I just think it's very important that we do the lesson teaching that is right in your house, right?
Yes, it's where it starts. It
What
starts.
whatever you believe, but decent is decent, right is right, and wrong is wrong, right?
Yeah,
We know how to talk to people,
yeah,
um, not treat people like objects, right? All those things, not being aggressive and shit like that.
yeah.
But I think a lot of that stuff comes also with men who don't learn how to deal with their emotions and shit like that, and inside of them becomes toxic, right?
Yeah,
Because you end up blowing up, you end up freaking, not knowing how to communicate and just screaming, and that's an issue.
I agree. I absolutely agree. So, bud, toxic masculinity. Do you think, let's just Do you think I'm toxic?
No, I mean, listen, I'm sure there'd be people that would say, yeah, that's the thing.
It's subjective, right? Like
It is subjective. We have the definition, right? So, per the definition,
someone out there that may be watching at some point would say subjectively that I would be toxic.
Listen, there's people that think like all men are toxic or all women are toxic, right? So you can, I mean, you're not going to be able to be a good person in everybody's eyes.
No.
I think it's just, what's right, what's wrong, and being that person in society. We're at a different time. Like I said, man, it's a trying time for everybody right now, because there's just so many different issues going on. The most important thing is be respectful, be polite, be loving, be accepting. All the good things that you should be doing as a human being, regardless of whether you agree with what someone else is doing or not. Right?
Yeah, I agree. I think that people need to show a little bit more love and compassion and empathy for people. And to your point, just try to be a good person. That's how we do it. So I appreciate another week, my friend. This was really good. We got someone. You want to come say hi? Come on, get in here, dog. Come say hi, man. I got one of my good buddies here. He's repping the hoodie right now.
All right. There we go.
We'll be doing a spring merch drop. We'll be getting t-shirts. Yeah, Shake, what's up? Yeah. Say hi to the fans. Are you okay? Don't worry about it.
What happened?
What's up?
There you go.
Say who you are. People don't know who you are, man. You say, my name is Bryson.
My name is Bryson.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, everybody. It was a great episode. We look forward to seeing you guys next week. And if you could remember to head on over to our YouTube channel, a Disarranged Talk Show, and please hit that like and subscribe button. And make sure you hit the bell button too. And so you'll be updated whenever we put out awesome episodes like this one. But I'd like to thank everybody for watching, whether you're watching live with us or you're watching at some other time in your convenience.
Thank you.
We really do appreciate your time. And as always, this is Disarranged. A healthy network is a strong network. And we'll see you next Friday at 8 p.m.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you for joining us. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.